Hi, Liv. So I am here with Liv Wheeler, and we literally met like 10 minutes ago, the first time we've spoken, and we just wanted to kind of share this excitement and magic of our synchronistic meeting kind of live with everybody, just to show how connected you can be with a stranger when it's about energy and it's about, you know, kind of divine intervention. Because we were introduced by a friend of yours, Liv, who kind of was open to the spiritual crisis kind of framework for understanding experiences, and saw an interview I did with Crazy Wise and introduced us because she kind of connected the fact that we were both doing similar work. And when you shared your website with me, it was just incredible, because it was like, wow, you're running a campaign called I Talk to Spirit Too. So doing interviews with people who connect with spirit and try and normalize these experiences is in exactly the same way. And it's like, well, of course we're doing the same thing, because we're connected to the same universal consciousness guidance. So it makes sense. But when you connect with someone in this way, it just feels so magical, and it's such a blessing to be connected with you, Liv, and I'm really excited to learn about what you do and share that with everybody. So thank you so much for being part of this campaign.
Yay. So good to meet you, Katie, and to meet you in person, so to speak. The technical gods and goddesses, maybe. There's a friend who I had asked her to make a video for I Talk to Spirit Too. She's based in Bali, a woman named Ashley. And she tagged me, this just happened recently on Facebook. And when she tagged me to Facebook, and I looked at what it was, and I think it was like Out of the Spiritual Closet. And I went to your page and started looking, and I was excited and kind of, amazed and in awe. And I was like, whoa, she's using the same language that I've used too, because it feels like it's, this kind of like coming out of the closet experience. So that's how I communicate about it with people, is it feels like there's a kind of coming out of the closet. And when I went to your page and saw or got a sense of your campaign, I was amazed to see, holy cow, we're kind of touching in or tapping into the same stream, and feeding a movement that's perhaps ushering in a new paradigm, I feel.
Absolutely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm being connected to more and more people who are doing the same kind of thing, and it just feels like it's time. We're all kind of rising to the challenge and trying to create this new world together. And I know personally I was really excited when we connected, because it's all about collaboration. It's all about power in numbers. This change is about, kind of coming together with a collective voice to create a shift. So and I know, you're doing quite unique work in this field, and I'm really, really kind of excited to learn more and to share that with people. And one of the things that kind of blew me away when I saw your website was the name Ancestor Bridge, because we talk in ISEN about creating a bridge for people between spirituality and the modern world. Talking about Facebook, meeting on Facebook, it's like these are the blessings of technology. Science has kind of taken us away from a lot of our natural connections, but there's also some really positive sides to it as well. So it's creating the ability for us to do this and connect around the world. So and we were the kind of theme of the moment in ISEN for us is about healing ancestral healing trauma. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, you're kind of, you're doing exactly what we're talking about, but in a very unique way. So could you just share with everybody what led you to your work, and why you're so passionate about this and what you actually do? I know you talk about communication with Contomble on your website, so if you could just explain what that means, that would be great.
Yeah, so I guess you could say I have been doing shamanic healing for 11 years. And yeah, I guess you could say it was spirit that guided me into my path of healing. And it was kind of like one thing led to another, you know, when I was studying the different healing arts. Um, and and I was being guided towards the psychic psychic spiritual aspects of healing without really realizing what was happening. So it was kind of like maybe I was one step behind or something of what spirit was guiding me towards. And they eventually led me into shamanic healing, and they led me to my teacher, who was my teacher for about 8 years, a person named Maladoma Somé. And Maladoma is from a country called Burkina Faso in West Africa. And so I was guided to work with Maladoma. Maladoma is based in the States. He's from Burkina Faso, and he travels around. He goes over to Europe as well, teaching. And for whatever reason, my soul guided me, you know, towards working with him. And there was that kind of like soul resonance, like, yeah, that's your teacher, go work there. So at this point, I've, you know, like I said, I worked with him for 8 years and traveled to Burkina now 5 times, spending a month there each time. And through through the kind of ongoing unfolding of my path and my connection or remembering my connection with spirit, then it led me into like remembering how to hear the ancestors and so on, and hear the different voices of spirit. Definitely started with the ancestors. And then in my studies with Maladoma and also my experiences in Burkina, I would be identified as what's called a Contomble person. That's their word in Burkina Faso for the little people, which could be the leprechauns, could be the elves, could be, in Hawaii would be the menehune, in the Philippines would be the duendes. There's names for the little people literally all over the planet. That's what I've come to realize in this kind of deep research and working with friends to help research into the kind of you know, like fossils or the, you know, relics of what's been left behind, to discover that the little people exist everywhere, imperial and also indigenous cultures, Native American people, they all have names for the little people. If you dig deeply, named Chelsea Wind, and we work a lot, and she's more the researcher, anthropologist side of things, that she's helped me to kind of make all these connections. They're everywhere.
Gosh, it's fascinating, isn't it? How you kind of, because obviously with ISEN we're starting to research in different cultures and the interpretations that different cultures have about these types of experiences. And although it's very different, you find that, you know, all of the different nationalities have the same types of experiences, just a different way of describing it. So what you're saying is, you know, the different cultures all have these types of connections with nature spirits or little people or whatever we might call them. It's just the different languages or interpretations that are used. It's incredible, because it's kind of proof in itself, isn't it? Because, you know, I'll say things like this to people, and it's normal to me now to talk about this stuff, and I kind of forget that it seems so surreal to some people. You know, some people will watch this and just be kind of really confused by it. But it kind of really validates the magic, because when connections like you and I happen, it's like, well, that can't just be, you know, two crazy people at opposite sides of the world kind of you know, having the same delusion. It's like it's happening everywhere. It's happening in every culture around the world. So yeah, we are definitely in the midst of this kind of opening, remembering. I love the fact that you used the word remembering, because it's like we're coming back into touch with our natural selves, isn't it? It's soul remembrance. It's not learning new things, it's just shedding the layers and remembering who we are.
It's remembering, and also like I found it so interesting to travel into different cultures, to different countries. And what I've come to surmise, or what I've come to believe, is that why is it, if I travel to Burkina Faso, why is it that it's not a question whether the Contomble or the ancestors of these different beings are real? Why is it not a question? Why is it when I go to Peru and I talk to people there, they can tell me about the little people there? Why is it that when I'm in Cambodia, it's the same experience? So what's happened? And to me, it feels like it's actually a modern phenomenon, or perhaps like the imperial cultures, that where the little people, for example, the Contomble and these various little people, have been cast into the land of the make-believe. They've been relegated into the fairy tale, which the kind of like the deeper I go into the remembering, into even investigation, like investigate it, investigate it, look deeper, start looking under rocks, like go a little deeper. And in the investigation and through my personal experience, I've come to realize we've been lied to. Basically, not only have we been lied to, but we've been deeply conditioned to believe that this is a fantasy, that this is make-believe. But why? Why? What's so threatening about that reality?
Yeah.
What's threatening about that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm now questioning. What is so threatening about that?
Really, really interesting.
Not down. Because the Native friends that I have here in the States, the ones that I've spoken with, there's not a question whether the little people, for example, ancestors, of course, they know are real, but the little people, for example, there's not a question of whether they're real. They know their names, they communicate with them. This is like present day. It actually never went away, even through the colonization. It's present day. And so what's trying to be stamped down, and what is the...
Have you received any kind of insights into that reasoning? Like, obviously there's a huge fear within our modern society about this kind of thing, and like you say, a dampening down of this type of experience. Have you got any answers to that, insights into why?
Well, I feel like I do. I mean, I feel like our personal connecting with our ancestors, with the guides that assist us, that are with us. Why? It's because it's an empowering process. I mean, I believe, yeah, sure, we can be empowered on our own, of our own human beings, but what happens when we connect with these other beings, our guides, these beings made of love, light, kind of higher frequency, it empowers us. And we're talking about the magic, we have greater potential, greater abilities, and there's reasons why they're with us. There's reasons why they're with us. There's reasons why we incarnated with these connections. And so the reason why I feel like is because it's threatening. It's threatening because we become too powerful, even as one human being, much less a group of human beings. There you are. We're now in different parts of the world, and I mean, this is spirit in action. I mean, it's really like beyond exciting to me. It's so exciting to me.
It is. It's incredible. It's incredible, and it's beyond logic completely, isn't it? Which is why these types of things get questioned so much, and why so many people do become pathologized, or if they're not emotionally stable, if they have some kind of trauma which causes emotional instability on top of having these experiences. It's like there's no wonder that kind of then causes somebody to become unwell and become pathologized. Do you see a lot of that in your practice with people who have maybe been labeled as ill, or do you come across that much?
Not necessarily that they've been labeled as ill, and I have talked to people who have been, yes, maybe a couple, but more of what I've seen and what I've experienced, and this is something that I've communicated with you about, is what I experienced and what inspired me to create this project, I Talk to Spirit too, is that I talk to so many people through my travels, through two things, through my travels and through my private practice. Through my private practice of working with people through this country, in different countries, that, and also in different different communities, what I experienced is I heard the same sentiment over and over and over again, is that they are connecting with spirit, they're connecting with ancestors, they're connecting with different deities, with different beings, and they're so afraid to talk about it for fear of being labeled as crazy. For fear of being labeled as crazy. And this was kind of like shocking to me, that they wouldn't even speak to their closest friends about it for fear of being labeled as crazy. And seemingly the only reason they seem comfortable to come out to me is because I'm out there. You know, out there. And you know, the interesting thing, Katie, is that when I was like came out with being in communication with the ancestors, well, that's a little bit easier to digest. That's not such a big stretch. It's a little bit easier to digest. Now, when you add in there, like, okay,
I talk to the fairies and the pixies. That's when people start to question your sanity.
It's a little bit harder. Like, oh shoot, am I gonna be out there? Like, I talk to little people, and knowing that there's like a giggle factor that happens. You know, it's just like, does she really believe what she's saying is real? And so the more I kind of like came out there with being a voice or communicator to the little people, what I actually thought would happen was that I would get more backlash and more people kind of outwardly saying certain things about me. What I've actually experienced is the opposite. I actually haven't experienced that much at all. Whether they think that or not, actually I'm okay with whether they think that or not. It's fine.
So fascinating, because I found exactly the same thing. And once you do start to open up, it's incredible the amount of people that you then kind of allow to do the same. It's almost like society is ready and waiting for people that to stand up and say, so that it reduces the fear for other people. And I think that's why we've connected so deeply, because you've obviously been driven by this huge passion of working with people and trying to give them a platform and create a safe environment for them to emerge proud and come out of the spiritual closet. So we're coming from the same place, and it's so beautiful to like know that there's so many people around the world trying to do this. And I'm just really excited, you know, to be able to create this safe place for people to do that, because it is scary, and I've been petrified about talking about some of these things, and you've obviously shared that you have too. But I know once you do it, it's like publishing a book with all your kind of dirty laundry, and you think, oh my goodness, people are going to think I'm, you know, X, Y, and Z, and it's been the complete opposite. People have written with thanks, and it's kind of the more vulnerable you allow yourself to be, I think the more people kind of do gravitate towards you. And you know, your energy is so beautiful. It's kind of come through from your emails, and so warm, and kind of, it's like, I think the more kind of out there you are with this crazy stuff. But you've obviously built it up gradually over the years as well. You know, you've kind of created this professional image, who's someone who's very grounded. You've, as far as I know, not being classed as unwell ever before. So it's like, then people start to really question like themselves, could it be real? So it opens doors for people that might be, you know, kind of skeptical before, which is amazing. Would you explain a bit about how you work on kind of a one-to-one basis with somebody? So how do you communicate with the Contomble to help somebody who comes to you, for example?
At this point, I'm what's called like a Contomble voice diviner. And so what that means is that through, like I was mentioning earlier, through my trips to Burkina and working with these different diviners, mind you, in different villages and different towns and different places, and them always identifying me as a Contomble person, that would always come out. And so through going through various initiations, and not having a guidebook or being, told and spelled out what was going to happen, it's like, put on these herbs, ring these bells, do this thing, wear this white for every night for a year. Well, what's going to happen? Just do it. I already was talking to spirit. I already was talking to ancestors, and through that process, ringing the bells and doing the invocation, and all of a sudden these like weird sounds started coming through my vocal cords, is like these shrilly sounds.
Wow.
When I'd be ringing. What is that? Now, that took about 6 months, where essentially the Contomble were like working my vocal cords. They were enabling me to speak in their tongue.
Wow.
And so that took about 6 months, where I guess you could say they were initiating me. And I'd be ringing the bells. The bells specifically are the ones that call to them. And they're these kind of high frequency beings, and they respond to the bells. And so finally at some point it kind of clicked in place, and their language could come through in a fluid way. And then at some point the kind of switch turned on, where I could actually understand what they were saying. And so now it was pretty wild. And
it's good to hear. It's good to hear you say, kind of, it's pretty wild, because you go through that process, don't you, of really questioning that your own sanity as well, but at the same time knowing it's completely like more real than this shared reality that we're in. So and what you're saying, it's kind of, the same as somebody speaking in tongues, isn't it? It's like, it's just a different.
Yeah, I've never experienced a person speaking in tongues, but maybe it is like that. I've heard about that before, and I didn't have any kind of framework or reference, in that sort of way. And so when the kind of like switch finally turned on, and then it was just this fluid language, and they would come through. And the Contomble, by the way, are they're very precise teachers. It's like they'll come through, and I was like, oh, you're saying, and I would say what it is, and they're like, yes, like, what took you so long?
Oh.
And they're kind of like, be very, get it. So now that leads to your question of, what happens. So I'll get on the phone with people, sometimes in the States, sometimes in other countries, and we get on, and they, will tell me a couple things about their life, about what's going on. And then the Contomble will come in, and they'll start communicating through to them in their language. And so it first comes through in this very high-pitched, high-frequency sort of language, and then I translate it. And then they talk, and then I translate it.
Wow.
And I feel like it's pretty wild, yeah. And so when it happens, I sort of feel like I'm kind of sitting to the side, and that I'm kind of witness to it. And honestly, because the interesting thing is, I don't personally feel or believe that I'm all that psychic. I believe that I'm intuitive, but the thing is, I just know how to connect to them. Or perhaps that's because I was born connected to them. I just know how to do that. And so when I do that, then they stream through, and the person may, I remember I was working with a woman in Spain, they can tell me just a couple things, and it's not for me to figure out anything. I don't have to figure out anything. I just pull myself to the side.
You're the vehicle for them to come through. That was something that really struck me on your website as well when I read it. It was like, my goodness, because you said something like you'd been told that you were a vehicle for the ancestors, and it was like, that was exactly the message I got when I had my spiritual awakening, is I am a vehicle for spirit. And it was like, wow. Well,
yeah. And do you know, Katie, what beings or spirits that you...
I don't. I haven't really discerned yet. I get kind of clairgnosis experiences, but it's a knowing rather than a kind of a real like of auditory or visual communication. Do you ever see the Contomble, or is it just through voice?
Well, I mean, I actually have seen them in Burkina, but that was a really rare, unique experience to actually be able to experience them in the flesh. That's not a common thing. Other than that, what will happen is when I'm in sessions, they'll start to send me visions. They don't show me themselves so much. I don't necessarily see them so much as I feel them. They have ways to communicate with people. They'll bring like a piercing ringing into their ear when they're trying to connect with people.
I noticed you said that on something, an interview I watched, and it reminded me of tinnitus. Do you think that is a connection to that at all?
Well, yeah, I do, and that's the thing, and it goes back to, I think it goes back to like the medical understanding and the medical understanding, like the Western medicine's limitation of understanding is because if we think we can just strip it down to, and let me say, I have little understanding or awareness of Western medicine, so let me just say that straight away, but what it feels like is if we think we can just strip it down to the body and the body's functioning or something like that, it's too limited because we're so much more than that, as you know.
Yeah.
And so when you try to eradicate the seers and the medicine people and the everything, and you try to push them out to the fringes of society and say that this is God and this is what's real, well, then people are left thinking they just have tinnitus. And you know, where even just letting people know that on videos about the ringing in the ears, they'll contact me. And then because what happens is because the Contomble speak in a very high frequency, if you hear them speak, it's this high kind of language. And when they're really trying to get somebody's attention, it's like that happening really fast. And it translates as ringing in the ears.
Wow.
I mean, I'm certainly not going to try to say that I think that, you know, no case of tinnitus is real, because I don't know about the eardrum and I don't understand the body in that way like Western medicine, I guess, does. However, I have noticed that to be true a lot of the times when they contact me and we go into that space, like, oh my God, they've been trying to get your attention for a long time. However, when we're in this so-called reality where we're saying that they're not even real, what do you do?
Well, it comes back to what you were saying about empowerment, doesn't it? And actually, you know, if you're kind of saying to somebody, it's spirit trying to get your attention, then that empowers them, so they don't need the medical system anymore, and which is, we know, is kind of a monetary based system. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm sure kind of a lot of people, I know somebody in particular who has struggled with tinnitus for a number of years, so would be, at least it's just being open-minded, isn't it, to investigating it as a reason.
Just investigating it, because in my perspective, if we have the kind of holistic that Western medicine is bad or is wrong, to kind of just do away with that. And also not saying that the spiritual shamanic that is wrong and we're going to push that away, but what if we can have a really comprehensive holistic picture where everybody is being duly respected, and then person, whoever is experiencing, whether that's the ringing in their ears or some sort of, you know, so-called like breakdown or something like that, where they have the full spectrum of possibilities, where they're being honored, physical, spiritual, emotional, mental beings, not only just dealing with psychology or psychological issues, but even within psychology, you know, there's the transpersonal psychology, and there's these branches to broaden the horizons, because even within the Western world, we've realized, thankfully, that we're limiting ourselves, and there needs to be like a broader, more holistic understanding. That way, nobody is getting like stigmatized, right, in the process.
Sure.
It's not
Yeah.
like we don't go there. We don't
Yeah.
touch that.
Absolutely. And that's what this is all about, isn't it? It's about just bringing in a more of a holistic view of things. And you know, I was just kind of remembering as you were talking then about a time when I went to Brazil and visited the Spiritist hospitals out there, and they have such a holistic way of working. You know, they have clairvoyant mediums working in the psychiatric hospitals alongside the doctors and the social workers. So they work in a really kind of mind, body, spirit integrated way. And they say that the biggest cause of psychological distress is repressed mediumship, repressed connection with spirit. And it was like, it made complete sense to me, you know, because that was my experience of, I'm like third generation of women, of ancestors who have kind of repressed this type of connection and become unwell, psychologically unwell because of it. So and your friend who was just here on the beginning of the call said the same thing. It's like the women at the moment seem to be kind of really waking up to this, and a lot of us have, you know, we're kind of second or third generation who've experienced this, but obviously previously people have kind of been really have been, you know, classed as witches or mentally unwell or whatever it might have been. So it's amazing, like you say, I think you say on your website that the time we've kind of chosen to reincarnate is just, it's difficult, but it's incredible at the same time.
Yeah, it's difficult and it's incredible at the same time. And when I was connecting with spirit before our call, I remember they were talking about, see if I can remember exactly what they were saying. They were talking about the way that when we feel like we can't have a voice or we can't give voice to our connection with spirit, there's this way, like this kind of mass thing that's happened, that there's this way that the spirits are also being oppressed. And they were speaking of this kind of mass oppression of spirits.
Wow.
And there was something that was interesting to me, that they were saying all these beings being oppressed, they said when these beings are oppressed, people go hungry. And they said that a couple of times, when these beings are oppressed, people go hungry.
Wow.
And I've realized from working with Contomble with spirit that sometimes they give like double meanings or even sometimes triple meanings to things, but it actually did feel like it was also speaking quite literally. When these beings are oppressed, you know, people go hungry. And
wow, that's really powerful. I got shivers when you said that, because it's like, I haven't thought about it on that level before. I've just kind of thought, you know, humans are suffering. But to think, actually, yeah, that makes sense, because it's kind of, you know, I've thought about the shame of the trauma we're carrying from, you know, historical genocide and everything, but also, yeah, the spirits we're disregarding. So not only are we it's kind of, we're disregarding ourselves, because they are our answer, you know, they are our history, they are us, they're our energetic history.
where, Katie, where are your ancestors from?
You tell me. It's kind of maybe the Contomble will tell you. It's really interesting. I've had connections. I've had kind of some vague recollection of like coming from another planet. Like I really sensed that I was from kind of starseed type connection. And I was obsessed with spaceships and ETs and things when I was young. So, yeah. So, but it's not kind of all fallen into place for me yet. And they're some of the things that I haven't really spoken out about. So I'm still in the closet with some things, because, you know, it's all kind of, it is scary talking openly about this stuff. I was just wondering, actually, if, I don't know whether this is too much pressure, and if it is, it's fine, but whether you could show us kind of how how you connect and how it comes through, like your voice? Would you be able to do that now, or is that do you need to kind of connect some time to connect to do that? If not, it's fine. I'd just be really interested.
Being put on the spot, do you really want to?
I would love to, if you're up for that. I'm sure people would be intrigued to hear.
Communicate?
Sorry?
Do you want to hear them communicate?
Please, I'd love to.
So what I'll say is, what I'll physically, so I can go and get my rattle, my bells. When I communicate with the Contomble, no matter if the person is with me in person or whether we're over the phone, the person is not supposed to be looking at me.
Right.
So what that would mean is that I would go and get the rattle and the bells, and I would just be sitting to the side. So you would hear me, but you wouldn't see me. And then when I'm not bringing them through, then I can come and sit back in front. Do you want me to do that?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we can hear you.
You'll be able to hear. It gets quite loud.
Now this is risky. This is me putting myself on the spot because I've no idea what you're going to say, but that's fine.
This is risky. This is you putting yourself on the spot, and this is also me putting myself on the spot.
And that's what this is. That's kind of what we're inviting others to do, isn't it? So we need to kind of lead by example, I suppose.
You know, and the thing is, Katie, this is what I've in our communication so far. This is what I've really part of what I really appreciate about you is your realness and your authenticity and your kind of just vulnerability, and I believe in that too. And so I'm totally good to just flow with it. And the thing I'll say about the Contomble is that when they come through, I guess to some degree, I'm always putting myself on the spot in some ways or taking a risk because I never know what they're going to say and I never know how they'll show up. I know they're interested in truth. That's what I know. And that's some steady stream that flows through and through and through. And so, and you might recognize them when they come through. That's possible too. So I can run upstairs and get the rattle and bells and then we can just flow with it.
Cool. Let's go for it. Why not? Thank you. Oh, this is real emerging proud live. Honestly, folks, this was not planned. I'm quite scared. You might need to speak quite loudly, Liv, to make sure that we can still hear you.
Okay, so what I'll say is oh, this is all in the in the topic of coming out of the closet.
It really is.
Yeah, we're coming out of the closet. So the rattle and the bells is specifically these bells that when I ring them, I call to the Contomble. It is necessary when I call them in to be shaking the rattle and ringing the bells because I called them in right before you and I got on the interview. I've already, done the invocation, so to speak, so I can kind of just trail into that space with them. They're already here. You probably feel them. And so the question is, are you wanting to hear what they're wanting to share? Is that what we want to do here?
Whatever feels most authentic for you to do right now, and kind of just trust the process. And it would be good to just kind of show people how you work, and it's really significant for me because nature spirits are something that's always been around for me too, and I've kind of blocked it. I've been kind of too fearful to go there, so you're kind of giving me permission to go back here. And I think where I'm living at the moment is really reconnecting me with that. And I've been aware of some elemental spirit around me quite a lot just lately, So I think this is quite significant for me personally as well, that we've connected right now. So I'm quite excited to hear what they have to say.
So, okay, so I'll welcome them in. I'll be moving over to the side of the camera while I'm calling them in, and then they'll be talking to you. And so just know that you can talk to them back. The rattle and the bells will be happening, although you'll hear when they come in, they get quite loud. And so just let me know if you can't hear something.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Can you hear me okay right now, Katie?
Yeah, that's great. Can hear you fine.
Okay. And then where are you right now? Did you say you're in London?
I'm in the UK. I'm in Norwich, Norfolk.
Okay. 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 Okay, so the Contomble are talking to right now, Katie. They're saying to you, what they're saying to you right now, Katie, is they're saying it's a hard road to travel, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is.
Right? Yeah. They said that you'll find that there are many dips and ditches. They said, but eventually you'll find your way through, and you'll find that it was all worth it. They said the message that they want to bring through for your listeners is that they said that there are many birds flying high in the sky, connected to the ultimate, connected to the ultimate truth, connected to the ultimate love, trying to liberate us. The birds send us the sensation, send us the feeling, the elation. It's like of ascending, or it's like the word they say is of ascending. What you're going to find. Are you talking to everybody individually? I guess they're talking to people about their coming out process. They said what you're going to find is that there's a period of regret, of saying, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have put myself out there in that way. I shouldn't have said that. Of shame, like beating yourself up, being hard on yourself. They said, like, hang in there through this process. On the other side is liberation. Because what you find on the other side of liberation is an army of support. Is a team of support. They said no longer do you need to be in hiding. No longer do you need to feel shame about who you are, about your birthright. They said if you were born to be a deity, be a deity. They said if you were born to be a leprechaun, be a leprechaun. If you were born to be a beautiful phoenix, be a beautiful phoenix. They said don't like go and hide under the little bridge like a little troll. Oh my God. They said you're all beautiful, be beautiful. They said no need to relegate yourself to the ilk of the troll. You know, like go haggard, like I should just go hide under the bridge. Katie, what they say to you? What they say to you is that your ancestors honor you. I don't know if you've ever been to Hawaii, but they show this like lei, you know, this lei of flowers being placed onto you. Mm-hmm. They want me to ask you, have you been to Hawaii before?
No.
Well, it will be good for you to do that. Anyway, they show this like lei of flowers being like placed onto you. They tell you the greats, what they call like greats, Greats, the greats will support you. They said, you'll never go hungry. They said, not only will you not go hungry, they said, you rise to the ilk of the greats. Because you've been willing to sing the song of what they call like the greats, the Greats. What they think is most important to express here. They're speaking to people who have been in hiding. What they say, Katie, is they say like the closet is full of torture. Yeah. It's a place full of torture. It's like it's grim, it's full of torture. It's like you're hard on yourself, they're hard on you. It's just, you know, it would be the embodied or it's the shadow, but it's not like, yeah, it's real. It's fairly dark, you know. I mean, dark, not just
in the
like
closet. In the closet.
Pardon?
In the
closet. Yeah. In the closet. In the closet. They said, but what you don't know, and again, they're talking to your listeners. What you don't know, it's like, what's the irony or what's the contrast? Is like when one can take the other's hands and welcome them out of the closet or pull them out from under the bridge. It's like there's birds chirping and it feels kind of utopia-like and it's beautiful and there's melodies and it just feels good. It just feels good.
Hell yeah.
Right? We just have been pinned under that damn, like, like the forces of doom and gloom. It's like we've gotten pinned under there. As a modern people, as a modern species, it's fucked, really.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't say fuck, right?
You can say whatever you like.
Okay, good.
It's not you, it's the
Good.
We'll blame the little people.
Yeah. We'll blame the little people. It's fucked. And so again, what they say to your listeners is they say, gather up your people being or meaning your guides, your guardians. And they said, and have a party, have a parade. Celebrate existence, celebrate life. They said, surely life is worth celebrating. They said, don't tell us life is not worth celebrating. They said, let's celebrate life. They said, but in order to celebrate life, we need our whole family, our whole community, our whole tribe here, also known as our guides, our guardians. And by the way, the earth is dying slowly. And by the way, there's a lot of death and decay. And by the way, life is wanting to prevail. They said it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. And when they say all of us, they don't mean all the humans. They mean all of us. It's going to take all of us, right? It's going to take all of us. Katie, they say to you, they are so grateful to you. They are so grateful to you. They say to you, Katie, is there anything we can do for you?
I want to be grateful to them, and I want to invite them to start talking to me because I can feel it coming.
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm willing.
Say it, Katie.
I'm open and I'm willing to receive.
Okay. And they said, and by the way, they said like you have like the horse nation with you. They said you have a horse nation, which also includes the unicorn nation. It's like the horse nation, unicorn nation. And so like the horses, and also known as the unicorns, are very important to you, to your soul, to your soul's mission. Like if you have never ridden a horse, like good to ride a horse.
I'd rather ride a unicorn.
Both, yeah. I mean, better is the good is the unicorn. Good is the unicorn. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because there's just this whole thing, you magical being. Yeah. I mean, when I look at you in this way, and this is what I love about connecting with the Contomble, is because I get to connect with that human and see how very not human they are, and also how human they are. But you're like mighty magical. Yeah, you are. You know that. You know that. That's no big secret. They said there's a tidal wave of support. There's a tidal wave of humans who are waiting for this message. And they said, go, like, be on your merry way, be on your merry way, be on your merry way. It's like they want. It's simultaneous. So say, okay, so here's the interesting thing. It's not only the human's desire is to be connected with their allies on the other side, it's also the allies. It's mimicking, or it's a mirror image of the allies on the other side wanting to be connected with their humans. You know, it's like they're human guides, you know? Let's say, Katie, if I was your spirit guide, you're my human guide. You know, you're my human guide. I want to be connected to you. And how can I be connected to you, right? We've got, you know, it works both ways, right? And so, they do say it's especially, and it's particularly important for the younger ones, the younger generations that are coming up. We have a responsibility. No matter what kind of like fucked up, you know, lie that we've tried to tell ourselves. We have a responsibility to the younger ones. We have a responsibility to the younger generations. We can break down any of these institutions at will, by will. We have that power. You know, we have a responsibility to the younger ones. We have a responsibility to the younger generations. And that's what they're showing me. Because they said these younger generations have a responsibility to all that is, also known as, we're not only thinking about the earth. We have a responsibility to all that is, also known as life, right? Like that. So, do you want to ask any last question to them before they go?
I want to thank them for their message to the listeners, and just maybe ask them how they would support somebody to come out of the closet if they're scared or fearful, or you know, what would their advice be?
Oh, beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Okay. They say the first thing they want to say is like, where is your fear? Where is your fear originating from? Did it come from your dad? Did it come from your grandma? Did it come from your neighbor down the street? Who implanted that fear into you? So why are you still holding on to this fear? Aside from that, what they will encourage others to connect to as they said, like, have faith or have courage in this like monument or this movement. Like, yeah, of course, here you are, Katie and I, you know, there you are, you're in England, here I am, I'm in America, also known as tiny little town called Skamakawa. I'm in this tiny little town called Skamakawa. So yeah, here we are. Okay, and so what they show is like you and I are kind of generating or creating this kind of grand raft, raft, something for people to kind of grab hold of. There's like kind of wave, or there's a great rapids, or there's a big river, there's like grab on. Grab on. There's no, you don't have to like show some special card, no special ID is needed, like grab on. Grab on. All are welcome. What they said is that it's actually what it boils down to is it actually is as simple as a switch. You turn the light on, you turn the light off. I'm on, I'm off. It actually is that simple. I'm making the choice. I'm making the choice to say yes. I make the choice to say no. There's actually not like a maybe in here. There's not like the maybe card. It's actually I'm saying yes, I'm saying no. It actually is. There is a like kind of black and whiteness to it. I'm saying yes, I'm choosing this, I'm choosing no. There is something that feels rather black and white about it. And so it's like, you turn on the switch, the yes switch. And when you turn on that yes switch, come to find out, there's so many like bright lights in this yes switch.
Yeah.
My God, it's blinding light. Holy cow, I didn't know when I turned that switch, I was going to be blinded by light. I had no idea. Oh my God. And not only like, well, we'll just talk about Earth. Anyway, I could go on about other planets. I won't go there right now. Anyway, Earth, we'll focus on Earth. You turn that switch on, and it's the yes switch, and you're like, holy shit. There's so many of us. Oh my God.
There's so many of us around the world. Yeah.
I didn't know when I turned the on switch that it was going to be like, oh my God, it's blinding light. And that blinding light is so piercing and so beautiful that I want to weep. I want to cry. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And why do I want to cry? What have we eradicated? What have we turned the off switch to? That is the epitome of life. What have we done? Something like that. Do you want to ask one last question before they head out?
I was going to say, when is my roller coaster going to end? When are my troughs going to end? But, it's okay. I don't need to know.
Well,
I'm trusting the flow.
Well, no, if that's the question, let that be the question. It can be the question, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm kind of struggling with a trough right now, so it would be good to know that it's going to end.
Will you ask the question again, love?
Okay, so when is my journey of real deep troughs going to not come to an end, but to get easier?
Yeah. Okay, I got it. They do show, they do connect to your connection with the star affiliation. Yeah, there's that for sure. And so they show that that's the how do I say that? That's your you're coming in this frequency, you're coming in this energy, and then there's this kind of like this spirit, what is the energy and the frequency here? There's that. They do say it will get easier. They do say it will be good to focus on what they call like the teenagers. There's something about the teenagers, like the teenagers present in this time, at this point in time. It's like helping to elevate the next generation. One more time, Contomble. They said the next generation is going to have to rise to the occasion, rise to the occasion, rise to the occasion. What they tell you, what they tell you, Katie, is that, I mean, there are so many working on your behalf, right? Because of course, there's the beings that you are connected to. Additionally, there's like all these beings, all these supernatural beings that they understand that you're connected to. And it will get easier. Like, yeah, if we're going to say it in a word, it will get easier. It's going to continue. It will get easier. It will get easier. Like, all that answer to, otherwise known as, it will get easier. The Contomble are asking you, like, promise us or tell us that we'll be in touch again. You know, they like to be in touch with you. They're like, we want to talk to you again. Do you want to talk to them again?
I would love to. I kind of know where I'm going to be when I'm connected to them. So I've seen it already. So I can't wait.
They do say to you, Katie, in a way that almost like brings me to my knees. They do speak to you in a way that almost brings me to my knees. They are so grateful for our connection. It almost like brings me to my knees, you know? They're so grateful for our connection. That's what they want to say to you. They're really, really, really grateful for our connection. And it almost brings me to my knees. And so they're going to leave now. Let me say goodbye to them.
I kind of mirror that. I kind of mirror that gratitude, you know. It's just incredible. And wow, it's the magic that I knew was coming. I could kind of sense it coming and been blocking, but it's just so much validation all of the time. So thank you. Please pass on my gratitude.
Yeah, I know you're super connected, Katie. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Ha! Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Contomble. Ha! You cannot do this without you. You cannot do this without you. Understand? Ha! We cannot do this without you. We cannot do this without you. We are so grateful to you. Bringing Katie and I to the record place and time outside of place and time. Ha! Thank you so much. Ha! Thank you so much. Ha! Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Wow. This is great. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, we did it.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm kind of thinking, oh my gosh, I can't actually believe we're going to put this out live. But
oh my God.
do you know, Liv, what I've done over the last 4 years is make sure I have some good psychiatrist friends who can vouch for me if the shit hits the fan.
But Katie, what if the opposite was true? What if the opposite was true? what I mean to say is like, what if the opposite was true? What if the opposite was true? Meaning, what if like the shamanic perspective was seen as the doctor's perspective, and the doctor's perspective was the fringe voice? What if that? And what if that? And because that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And that's the way we've known it. That's the way it's been.
Yeah.
And why is it anything other than that?
It's not, and you and I know that. And that's my, you know, my kind of fear from the past is still there. I just choose not to. I choose not to listen to it.
You know, I want to say, and I want to honor you, Katie, too. I really, really, really do, because I mean, whatever, when I was like 21, I was a court reporter or something for a couple of years. That was like the closest I got to that was the closest that I got to the establishment. And so I say that to say that I honor you and I respect you, and I like recognize that I've been like on the so-called fringe of society now for at least 11 years. You know, I'm like 40 right now. So it's not like I've been in the medical institution or something like that.
But you know, in the same way, I really honor your bravery, because to stay on a fringe when it's such a challenge to live like that, you know, and it's incredible. It's incredibly strong to do that. So, you know, this is why we've come together to create a bridge.
I know, but I want to tell you, like, for whatever reason, I feel called to tell you this, is like, okay, so spirit moves me, and spirit, like, they, you know, bring through different messages, and they want different things to happen. And so I've traveled in Europe before, but anyway, I've never been to Iceland. Have you been to Iceland?
No. No.
Iceland than I am. Closer than I am, I think. Anyway, so I was guided by spirit to do this whole, and so there's this whole thing that's happening in Iceland in 2017, right?
Oh.
Elves, right?
Cool.
Guided, right? I never talked to the elves before, and I will like claim, and I will acknowledge, and I will like claim my ignorance about Iceland, because I know nothing about Iceland or the elves for that matter. I really don't. Land, mass, whatever. Anyway, and so it's like working with the woman that you met like pre this interview, who is connected to the elves, who, by the way, the little people are different in their different communities, whatever. They're all similar but different, right? And so we were like putting together this ritual retreat, you could say, for Iceland in 2017 in June for the solstice, right? I was in a communication with a woman who speaks with elves, who has been talking with elves since she was a kid.
Wow.
I only have been, not only, but I've been speaking with the Contomble all this time. Like the Contomble have a particular frequency, like I know them. All of a sudden, started coming to me after we started like putting this together, because I hadn't asked them, by the way, why are we doing this? What's this about? I hadn't asked them that. And all of a sudden they started coming to me. I know like an elf's frequency, although I've never talked to them before, and all of a sudden they're coming in. And so I start going into communication with them. And they're starting to talk to me about these like icy places, and the importance of these icy places, and these like icicles, and these things that are happening. And I'm with my friend Asa, who is connected to the elves, and I'm like, they're glaciers. They're glaciers. They're glaciers. And they're like going on and on and on about the importance of the glaciers, and the their fear of the like the melting or the eradication of these glaciers, right? Yeah. And in my sheer ignorance about Iceland, and my sheer ignorance about the landmass there, is like, are there glaciers there? What's going on in Iceland? And then I start researching, and then I find out that there are like glaciers that are connected with the elves and all of that. And this is my connection with spirit that is just unfolding and weaving and everything. And then come to find out that like they're talking about their ancestors and the glaciers, and if this goes, then they'll be homeless and we'll be homeless.
Do you know, this is really interesting, because it all connects, doesn't it? Because the human race is destroying the world, it's destroying nature, and the only way that we can save it is by waking up, is by turning our lights on. And you know, this is something that came to me, and I wasn't going to say this live. I get it, because I was obsessed by a film, The Gnome-mobile, right? When I was a kid, I was growing up, and The Gnome-mobile. And it was a Walt Disney film. It's not well known, and from 1967. But I was obsessed with it when I was a child, and it's about a forester, and he's chopping down the forests, and he goes and he collects his grandchildren and he takes them for a picnic in one of his forests, and the granddaughter connects with the elves or the pixie people, the gnomes, and the gnomes tell the humans that you're destroying our land. And the whole film is based around the gnomes kind of coming out of the closet and being brave and speaking to the humans, so that the humans can wake up and help them save their environment. And it was like, as soon as we connected, I remembered this, and it all came back to me. And it's like, this is reverse. This is like, it's incredible.
It's what it's all about. Like, clearly, like, you and I need to meet up in Europe or wherever we need to meet up. Like, we clearly need to meet up, because this is the interesting thing. In my connection with spirit and my connection with the little people, what did they bring me back to? Here I am in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. What did I do this past summer? Worked with the ancient trees, because the trees are being cut down.
Yeah.
I can't like pat myself on the back and say, oh yeah, I'm a good Samaritan. Yeah, I understand that the trees are being... No, I can't claim that. It's because the little people pointed that out to me. I can't claim that, nor can I claim my awareness around the glaciers. I can't. My awareness from that comes from the little people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I found myself watching this documentary called Chasing Ice. By the way, if you haven't watched it, like, watch it. Anyway.
Well, the ice caps are melting, aren't they? Because the glaciers are melting because of what we're doing to the planet.
Yes.
They're crying out for us to wake up so that we can save the world.
I know, and here's the thing: I've never connected with the elves, and for them to be, this is so important in this ritual retreat that we're putting together, that I've never connected with the elves, nor do I know what's going on in Iceland. I claim ignorance. I do. I don't know. I'm guided by spirit. I claim ignorance. I am. And they're pointing out this tragedy around the glaciers, which when they say that, it's like, oh, fuck, yeah, global warming. Like, yeah, this is the elves pointing it out. And mind you, when my friend started to research it, like, come to find out, one of the glaciers is known as one of the elves' sacred places. There's a particular glacier we're going to that is an elf, like, sacred place. That's where we're going to go. Why? Because the elves guided us there. Why are the glaciers important? Obviously, it's impacting the whole planet. Who is pointing this out to me? I cannot claim to know that. I don't know that. I know nothing about glaciers. It's spirit that's pointing that out to me, and that goes specific exactly to the beginning of what you and I have been talking about. I speak to spirit too. I talk to spirit too. I'm coming out of the closet. Why is your connection to spirit important? It is taking us back to the very heart of what you and I are talking about. I don't know that.
saving the world. It's saving the world. I so resonate with what you're saying, because I am so ignorant about anything, and yet when I channel, it's like some wisdom that I don't know where it's coming from comes through.
Exactly. Like, it was profound to me to connect with it. Like the things that they were talking about, like the research checked, and here I am in ignorance talking to my friend. Are there glaciers? And I claim ignorance. Are there glaciers? I don't know. Oh yeah. Not only are there glaciers, there's glaciers connected to the Alps. And the connections are incredible. And I can't claim to know that. And I don't claim to know. And this is spirit that's like,
yeah,
it puts us right at the heart of what's happening with our planet. And this goes directly to like the passion that I feel and the zeal that I feel and everything that you hear me speaking from. It has everything to do with what are we doing here on this planet? Our life purpose, our life mission, and also how we're able to execute it, and also what's happening on the planet. My connection to the little people has brought me right into the heart of what's happening with the planet. I cannot claim to be, oh yeah, I care so much about, I care so much about the earth. I can't claim it. I can tell you it's my connection to the little people I can't claim it.
Yeah, like this is so profound, Liv, because, and neither of us had any idea it was going to come to this. This was going to come up. We just kind of said, let's go with the flow. Let's share this magical synchronicity, and this is where we are. It's like our wish, our pledge for people to come out of the closet and connect with their light, turn their lights on, is about saving the planet. It's that profound, it's that serious. We're not playing games. This is about saying we have a choice as a human race to leave our light off and die, or to turn our light on, be brave, and save the planet.
Exactly. It is actually about the planet. It is actually about the planet. And like I said, like, I can't claim myself as Liv. I can't say, oh, I'm an environmentalist and I recycle this. No, I'm a fucked up human being. Like I am. I'm a fucked up human being. I try to do my part, try to be fairly conscientious. No, I'm a fairly fucked up human being.
We all are. We just have to admit that, yeah?
No, I will. I'll admit that. Like, that's what I am. I'm a fairly fucked up human being. I'm like maybe everybody else. However, it's the spirits that have brought me back to the earth, particularly the Contomble, particularly the little people, again and again and again. Yeah. If you were here right now, Katie, on the land where I live, you would see, like, this past summer, we did like a clear-cut ritual. Why? Because the little people asked me to do that. Why? Because here we are in America, and I don't know. Have you been to America?
Mm-hmm. I've been to San Francisco and down the Bay Area. Okay.
And so in America, like Pacific Northwest is known as like a place dense with like woods and forests. This is where the trees are. The trees go to China. In BC, they go to China, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's happening. This is like the dense forested area in the States is in the Pacific Northwest, right? It's raining. It'll rain through the winter and through the spring. This is what's happening, right? Clear cut. Yeah, they asked me to do a clear cut ritual. Why? I mean, good Lord, because these nature spirits that you speak about, they come through the trees, they come through the mountains, they come through nature. Yeah. And what happens when our trees are all gone? Or what happens when our oxygen, what happens when our lungs of the earth are gone? If we can't see how layered and how connected they are, it's completely, it's not like me being a person connected to the earth. I'm like, fairy, and I'm going to chase the fly, and I don't know where next thing is coming from. No, it's not that. No. My spirits has brought me more deeply connected to the earth.
Yeah.
It is earth-based religion. It's an earth religion. It's not like they are the ones who have brought me, who have seemingly turned me into an environmentalist. Right?
Sure.
I look like an environmentalist now.
Yeah, well, it just makes you more conscious of everything, doesn't it? Of what we're putting in our bodies and our energy that we're putting out into the world. Wow. I think we probably need to we probably need to do like loads more interviews now. It's like, this is incredibly powerful, and I can imagine that some people are just like completely freaked out by this. But what this is for is to speak to those people that kind of know this, that are remembering and then kind of come out of the closet. So I am so grateful for you just being so open and so kind of willing to do that, Liv, live, because I didn't warn you about that before we connected, because I didn't know it.
It's all good. It's all good, and I know, and you see my passion. And by the way, Katie, I will tell you, you might find out that there are far less people freaked out than they are really, really, really interested to know more.
Yeah, well, you're completely inspiring, because you're just living, embodying this stuff, and it's just normal. It's just so kind of natural for you, and it's so refreshing to talk to you, Liv, and connect with people around the world. And it's just, I'm so grateful that we've connected, and I am sure that we'll stay connected, and I wish you huge success with your campaign, and let's connect our campaigns and its power of voices, and help people to come out and remember who they are, and connect with whatever spirits they're here to connect with, to do their bit in saving the planet, because that is what it's about. Absolutely.
And I will say to those who are listening, whoever is listening, is that that is something I've been so grateful to you about, Katie, is that you are a true ally, not only to me, you are a true ally to those, I suspect, anybody that you connect with, and you situation yourself to be an ally, because you are a true ally. And so I honor you and I respect you for that, because that's how this whole situation is going to turn around. That's how we're going to turn this whole thing around, is through not like empty words or whatever. It's like through true alliance. And I felt that from you immediately. It's just like, this is real support. And I truly support you, and I will support you like that, and I will support all that you are connected to, like till our dying days.
Yeah.
I will.
Likewise, thank you so much. This is our mission. This is why we've reincarnated right now, and likewise, it's like I'm connecting with people who are doing this from an authentic, heart-based mission. Yeah. Thank you so much. Till next time. I'm sure everyone is so grateful for everything you said. So grateful to you and to the Contomble for coming through. Okay. Thanks, Liv.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.